Come with me. A millionaire CEO saw a little girl sleeping at a bus stop. What he did the next day. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's get into the story. It was a cold winter evening, and the city streets were nearly empty. The chill in the air was harsh, a biting reminder that winter had fully arrived. The streetlights flickered on, casting long shadows across the sidewalk. Amidst the quiet, a man in a well-tailored suit stood at a bus stop, waiting for his ride. He was Liam Parker, the CEO of one of the most successful tech companies in the city. His usual polished demeanor seemed out of place in this part of town, where the street was dimly lit and the air felt heavier than usual. As Liam waited, his gaze drifted to a small figure curled up on the bench at the bus stop. It was a little girl, no older than 10 or 11, bundled up in ragged clothes that barely protected her from the cold. Her face was pale, her hair matted from the dampness of the night. She appeared to be asleep, but Liam could tell she wasn't just resting, she was exhausted, perhaps even hungry. There was something heartbreaking about the sight of her, and for a moment, Liam's usual focus on business faltered. He looked around, but there was no one else in sight. No other pedestrians, no cars passing by, just the sound of the wind and the distant hum of the city. He stood frozen for a moment, unsure of what to do. He wasn't a man who often showed vulnerability or compassion in public, but something about this little girl struck a chord with him. He walked toward her slowly, careful not to wake her. As he got closer, he noticed a piece of paper crumpled up in her hand, perhaps a receipt or a note, though he couldn't make out what it was. His heart ached for her, and without thinking, he gently placed his jacket over her shoulders, hoping it might offer some warmth. The girl stirred slightly, but didn't wake up. Liam stood there for a moment, looking down at her, feeling a strange mix of guilt and helplessness. He had everything a thriving company, luxury, and comfort, but this child, this stranger, had none of that. He stepped back, his mind racing. What was he supposed to do? He couldn't just leave her there, but he didn't know how to help. He knew the city had shelters, but would she even go? Would she trust him? He stood still for a moment longer, unsure whether he should wake her up or simply walk away. But something told him that this moment, this decision, could change everything. The thought of leaving her alone in this condition gnawed at him. He looked at his watch. His car was waiting for him, but there was no way he could leave now. After what felt like an eternity, Liam made a decision. He would find out who she was, where she came from, and if she needed help, he would be there. As he pulled out his phone, ready to take action, the bus he was waiting for arrived. He took one last look at the girl before stepping onto the bus. The next day, Liam would return, and everything would change for both of them. The next morning, Liam found himself staring out of his office window, his mind still replaying the image of the little girl at the bus stop. He couldn't shake it off. He had done something for her the night before, something that felt right in that moment, but now he wondered if it was enough. Was it truly enough to make a difference in her life? Or had he just offered a temporary comfort that would soon fade away? His thoughts were interrupted by a soft knock at the door. He turned to find his assistant, Claire, entering with a stack of papers in her hands. "You have a meeting in 15 minutes, Mr. Parker," she said, handing him the documents. "We also have a potential investor arriving this afternoon. I've scheduled a lunch to discuss the deal." Liam nodded absently, glancing at the papers but not really focusing. "Right, thank you, Claire," he said, his mind still elsewhere. As she left, he looked at his phone again. He had made a promise to himself. He couldn't let this go. He couldn't just forget about the girl. His finger hovered over the contact list, then he typed in a number. The phone rang once, twice, before a voice answered. "Hello?" It was the city's homeless shelter. "Hi, this is Liam Parker. I was wondering if you had any information about a little girl who might have stayed there last night." The voice on the other end seemed cautious but friendly. "We get a lot of people coming through here, sir. Can you give me a bit more detail?" Liam took a deep breath, trying to explain as clearly as he could. "She's around 10 or 11, possibly sleeping at a bus stop near the corner of Maple and Fifth. She was alone, wearing ragged clothes, and seemed to be struggling. There was a pause on the other end. "I know who you're talking about," the voice said. "She's not with us, but we did see her pass by earlier. I think she was heading toward the park. I'll let my team know to keep an eye out for her." Liam thanked the person on the other end, hung up, and immediately grabbed his coat. He wasn't about to wait for someone else to take action. He had to find her himself. He left his office and made his way to the park, his mind racing with worry. He didn't know why he felt so compelled to help, but something inside him told him that he couldn't just walk away from this. As he approached the park, his eyes scanned the area, searching for the little girl. He was starting to feel hopeless when, at the far end of the park, he spotted her. She was sitting on a bench, still wrapped in the jacket he had given her the night before. Liam's heart skipped a beat as he walked toward her, his footsteps quickening. She looked up when she heard him approaching. Her eyes were wide with caution, but there was a flicker of recognition. "You," she said softly, almost as if she couldn't believe it. Liam smiled gently and knelt down in front of her. "Hi, my name is Liam. I was wondering if you were all right," he said softly, his voice warm and comforting. The girl didn't answer right away, instead looking around nervously. "I'm fine," she finally muttered, but Liam could see the fear in her eyes. He didn't push her. "Would you like to come with me? I can take you somewhere safe, somewhere you don't have to worry about being alone anymore." The girl looked at him, suspicion still evident in her expression. "Why would you help me?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. Liam paused for a moment, considering his words. "Because sometimes people need help, and I believe everyone deserves a chance." The girl seemed to hesitate, her eyes flickering with uncertainty. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, she nodded. Liam offered his hand, and after a brief moment, she took it. He helped her up from the bench and led her out of the park, ready to keep his promise. The journey ahead was unknown, but Liam knew one thing for certain. This moment would change both of their lives forever. As they walked toward the car, Liam felt a sense of hope stir within him. He had no idea what the future held, but for the first time in a long while, he felt like he was doing the right thing. As Liam and the little girl, whose name he had learned was Emma, walked together toward his car, the weight of the moment hung in the air between them. Emma was still wary, her gaze darting around, her small hand clutching his a bit too tightly. Liam couldn't blame her. She had every reason to be cautious. As they reached the car, he opened the door for her, and she hesitated for a moment before climbing in. He smiled reassuringly at her, then walked around to the driver's side, getting in and starting the engine. The drive was quiet at first. Emma kept her eyes on the window, watching the city pass by. Liam could tell she wasn't used to being in a car like this. She probably hadn't been in many cars at all. The thought made his heart ache. He glanced at her every few moments, wondering what she had been through. He wasn't sure what he was expecting, but he didn't know how to begin asking. Eventually, Emma broke the silence. "Where are you taking me?" she asked, her voice quiet but curious. "To a safe place," Liam answered gently, his gaze focused on the road ahead. "Somewhere where you don't have to worry about being cold or alone anymore." Emma didn't respond right away. Instead, she stared out the window, her face unreadable. Liam didn't push her for more conversation. He let her process, let her take in the moment. He knew this wasn't something that would change overnight. They drove for a while, leaving the busy streets of the city behind and heading toward a quieter neighborhood. Liam's mind raced. He wasn't exactly sure what he was going to do next. He could take her to a shelter, but he felt like she deserved more than that. She deserved a future, not just a place to stay for the night. He turned into a driveway, and Emma glanced at him curiously. "Where are we?" she asked, her eyes wide. Liam stopped the car in front of a large, elegant house. It was a two-story building, with a well-maintained lawn and large windows that reflected the early afternoon Sunday. "This is my home," Liam said. "You're going to stay here for now. You'll be safe, and we'll figure out the next steps together." Emma stared at the house for a long moment, her expression one of disbelief. "Your home?" she asked slowly. "You're really going to let me stay here?" Liam smiled, turning off the engine. "Of course. It's the least I can do." He got out of the car and walked around to open the door for her. She hesitated but finally climbed out. As they walked to the front door, Liam noticed that Emma was still looking around as though she didn't quite believe this was real. He couldn't imagine what she must have been through to make her so guarded, so unsure. Once inside, Liam led her to the guest room. "This will be your room for now," he said, opening the door to reveal a cozy space, with a large bed, a soft rug, and a window that let in the warm sunlight. Emma looked around, her eyes wide. "I can't stay here," she said, her voice shaking. "Why not?" Liam asked gently, taking a step closer. "You're safe here. You don't have to be afraid anymore." Emma shook her head. "I don't belong here," she said quietly. "I don't belong in a house like this." Liam knelt down to her level, his expression soft. "Everyone deserves to feel safe, Emma. You belong here just as much as anyone else." She looked up at him, searching his face for any sign of insincerity, but finding none. Slowly, she nodded. Liam stood up and smiled. "Why don't you get comfortable? I'll have something to eat brought up for you. You can rest, and when you're ready, we can talk more." He left her alone in the room, the door closing softly behind him. As he walked down the hallway, Liam's mind was spinning. He had no idea how to help her or what to do next. All he knew was that he couldn't just leave her alone in the streets again. He would do whatever it took to help Emma build a better life. He just didn't know yet how he was going to make that happen. The next morning, Liam woke up early, his mind already racing. He couldn't help but think about Emma, about the girl he had brought into his home the day before. He had done what he could to help, but he knew this was just the beginning. He wanted to give her a better life, to offer her more than just shelter for a night. But how could he do that? He wasn't sure where to start, what steps to take next. As he made his way downstairs, he found Emma sitting at the kitchen table, staring out the window. She looked so small in the large, unfamiliar space, and for a moment, Liam felt a pang of guilt. Was he doing the right thing? He had given her a safe place to stay, but was that enough? He wasn't sure. "Good morning," Liam said gently, approaching the table. Emma looked up at him, her expression still guarded. "Morning," she replied quietly. She didn't seem quite as scared as she had been the day before, but there was still a distance between them, a barrier that Liam wasn't sure how to break down. He pulled out a chair and sat down across from her. "How did you sleep?" he asked, trying to make conversation. Emma shrugged, looking down at her hands. "Okay, I guess," she muttered. Liam could sense her discomfort, and he didn't want to push her too hard. "I'm glad you're here," he said softly. "I know this is a lot, and I don't want to rush you. But if you need anything at all, just let me know." Emma nodded slowly, still not looking at him. "I don't really know what to do," she said quietly. "I've never been in a place like this before. I don't even know where to start." Liam's heart ached for her. He could see the fear and confusion in her eyes. "You don't have to figure everything out right now," he said, trying to reassure her. "We'll take it one step at a time. You don't have to do this alone anymore." There was a long pause, and Liam let Emma process his words. He knew it would take time for her to trust him, to trust anyone, but he was willing to wait. "How about we start with some breakfast?" Liam suggested, trying to break the silence. "I've got some cereal and fruit. You can pick what you like." Emma looked up at him then, her expression softening just a little. "Okay," she said, her voice still unsure, but a bit warmer than before. Liam stood up and went to the kitchen, gathering the ingredients for a simple breakfast. As he placed a bowl of cereal in front of Emma, he noticed how carefully she picked up her spoon, how unsure she seemed with every movement. She wasn't used to being pampered. Liam tried to make the atmosphere as normal as possible, but he could tell that Emma wasn't quite comfortable in the luxury of the house. This wasn't her world. She wasn't used to this kind of life. As they ate, Liam decided to gently introduce the idea of school. "Have you been to school recently?" he asked, his voice casual. Emma's face immediately fell, and she looked down at her cereal, pushing it around with her spoon. "No," she said quietly. "I haven't been to school in a while." Liam felt a knot form in his stomach. "Do you want to go back?" he asked, his voice filled with care. Emma didn't answer right away, and Liam waited patiently. "I don't know," she muttered. "I'm not really good at school. I never was." Liam could see the sadness in her eyes. He knew this wasn't just about school. This was about her entire life, about everything she had been through to get to this point. He didn't know all the details of her story, but he could tell that it was more complicated than just not being good at school. "It's okay if you're not sure," Liam said softly. "We can figure it out together." There are options. But first, I think it's important to give you a chance to relax, to take a breath. Emma looked up at him then, her eyes searching his face for sincerity. She didn't say anything, but for the first time, there was a slight shift in her expression. Maybe she was starting to trust him, even if just a little bit. "I want to help you, Emma," Liam said, his voice gentle but firm. "Whatever you need, I'll be here. But you don't have to make any decisions right now. Just take things one step at a time." Emma nodded slowly, her lips barely curving into a small, uncertain smile. "Okay," she said softly. For the first time since Liam had met her, he felt like they were starting to make progress, like he was finally reaching her. It wouldn't be easy, but Liam was determined to help Emma rebuild her life. No matter what it took, he wasn't going to let her slip through the cracks. The following days were a quiet blur for Emma. Liam kept his promise, giving her space to adjust, but he also made sure to check in with her, always letting her know that she was not alone. They had breakfast together every morning, and although Emma didn't talk much at first, Liam noticed subtle changes. She started to smile a little more, even though her eyes still held a hint of sadness. One afternoon, after school, Liam sat with Emma in the living room, where she was working on a coloring book he had bought for her. He had been doing some research, looking for local schools that could help Emma catch up on her education. And as he sat across from her, he decided it was time to ask again. "Hey, Emma," he started gently. "I've been looking into some schools, and I think we might have a few options for you. Would you like to visit one? See what it's like?" Emma paused her coloring and looked up at him. She didn't answer right away, her fingers still holding the crayon in a tight grip. "I don't know," she muttered, her eyes downcast. "What if I'm too behind? What if they don't want me there?" Liam felt a pang of empathy, knowing this wasn't just about school. It was about everything she had experienced before. He leaned forward, his voice kind but firm. "Emma, no one is going to judge you for where you're starting. It's not about being behind. It's about moving forward, one step at a time. You don't have to worry about being perfect. You just have to try." Emma's eyes flickered with uncertainty, but she didn't look away. She was considering his words. After a moment, she sighed, her shoulders slumping slightly. "Okay," she said quietly. "I'll give it a try." Liam smiled, feeling a wave of relief wash over him. "That's all I ask. We'll go together. You don't have to do this alone." The next day, Liam drove Emma to a local school he had researched. The school was a small community center that specialized in helping children who had fallen behind in their studies. When they arrived, Emma hesitated at the entrance, looking up at the building. "It looks different," she said, almost to herself. Liam gave her a reassuring smile. "Different can be good. It's a place where you can start fresh, at your own pace. Let's just see how it feels." They walked inside, and immediately, Emma was greeted by a warm, welcoming staff member who introduced herself as Mrs. Wilson. "Hello, Emma. It's so nice to meet you." "We're glad to have you here," Mrs. Wilson said, her tone friendly and kind. Emma, though still shy, offered a small smile. "Hi," she replied softly. Mrs. Wilson led them to a classroom where Emma would have a chance to meet her potential classmates and take a tour of the school. As they entered the room, Emma's eyes widened at the sight of the students, who were all engaged in various activities. Some were reading, others were working on art projects, and a few were engaged in lively discussions with the teachers. The atmosphere felt light and encouraging, unlike anything Emma had ever experienced. Mrs. Wilson showed Emma to a desk in the back of the room. "You'll have your own space here," she explained. "And if you ever need help, just raise your hand. We're here to support you." Emma nodded quietly, but didn't say anything. Liam stood nearby, watching her closely. He could tell she was overwhelmed, but he could also see a flicker of curiosity in her eyes. After a while, Mrs. Wilson encouraged them to take a walk around the school. As they walked down the hall, Liam and Emma passed a group of students in the cafeteria, laughing and talking. And for the first time since he had met her, Liam noticed Emma's expression soften. She was watching the students interact, and he could see a spark of something hope, maybe beginning to light up in her eyes. When they returned to the car later that afternoon, Emma didn't speak right away. She sat quietly, her hands folded in her lap as Liam drove her back to the house. "So," Liam said after a while, "what do you think?" Emma hesitated, her fingers tapping nervously on the seat. "It was different," she said slowly, her voice almost thoughtful. "But I think maybe I can try. I think it might be okay." Liam smiled, a sense of pride swelling in his chest. "You don't have to decide everything today. You can take your time. Just know that I'm proud of you for even considering it." Emma looked at him, a small smile tugging at the corners of her mouth. "Thanks, Liam. I think I might want to give it a shot." That was all Liam needed to hear. He was willing to wait for as long as it took for Emma to feel comfortable and safe. But this was a step forward, a step towards something better. For the first time in a long while, Emma was beginning to believe that things could change for the better, that she might have a future filled with possibilities. Liam could see it too. The road ahead would be long and challenging, but for the first time, he truly believed they were on the right path. The next few weeks flew by as Emma slowly began to adjust to her new life. Liam had made sure to keep things low pressure for her, offering her the time and space she needed while still encouraging her to engage with the world around her. She had started attending the new school, and although she was still nervous and uncertain, she was attending every day. There were no sudden changes, just small, steady steps forward. Every morning, Emma would get up and head downstairs for breakfast. Liam would be there, preparing her favorite meal, or sometimes just sharing a quiet cup of coffee with her. Their mornings were simple but comforting. Liam could tell she was still grappling with her past. And although she didn't speak about it often, he could see her making progress. On one particularly rainy day, after Emma had returned from school, she sat in the living room, her backpack by her side, staring out the window. The sound of the rain hitting the windows was peaceful, but there was a heaviness in the air, a tension that Liam couldn't ignore. He walked over to her and sat down next to her on the couch. "How was school today?" he asked gently. Emma didn't look up right away. She was silent for a few moments before answering. "It was okay," she said softly, her voice barely audible. "But I don't know if I really belong there." Liam felt his heart drop. He had been waiting for this moment, knowing that there would be challenges along the way. "What do you mean?" he asked, trying to keep his tone calm. Emma shifted in her seat, her eyes still focused on the rain. "It's just, everything feels different," she explained. "The kids there, they don't understand me. I don't know how to fit in. I'm behind in so many things." Liam could hear the frustration in her voice, the sadness that she tried so hard to hide. He reached over and placed a hand on her shoulder, giving her a moment to gather her thoughts. "It's okay to feel different, Emma," Liam said, his voice filled with compassion. "You're not the only one who's ever felt that way. You don't have to fit in right away. It's okay to take your time. You're doing something really brave by even going to school." Emma's eyes flickered with uncertainty. "But what if I can't catch up?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. "What if they just give up on me?" Liam shook his head. "No one is going to give up on you," he reassured her. "And you don't have to catch up overnight. We'll take it one step at a time. It's not about being perfect. It's about trying, and you've been trying every single day." Emma let out a long sigh, the weight of the world still evident on her small shoulders. She looked up at him then, her eyes filled with doubt. "I don't know if I can do this," she said quietly. Liam smiled at her gently, his heart aching for her. "I know you can," he said confidently. "You've already come so far. You're stronger than you think." He could see the walls slowly start to come down, the trust beginning to build between them. Emma gave him a small, tentative smile, her first in what felt like days. "I don't know how you're always so sure of me," she said softly. "But I guess I'll keep trying." Liam's heart swelled with pride. "I'm sure of you because I see how hard you're working," he said. "I see your strength, even when you don't." The next day, as Emma was getting ready for school, Liam decided to take a different approach. He knew she still felt like an outsider, and he wanted to do something to help her feel more included, more confident. When she came downstairs, he handed her a small package. "What's this?" she asked, eyeing it curiously. Liam smiled. "I thought you might need something to help you feel more like you belong," he said. Emma carefully unwrapped the package to reveal a new jacket, a light, stylish one that was perfect for the cooler months ahead. I thought it might help you feel more comfortable at school, Liam added, watching her closely. Emma's eyes widened. She had never received anything like this before, and for a moment she was speechless. But I don't deserve this, she said, looking up at him with wide, uncertain eyes. Liam gently took her hand. Yes, you do, he said firmly. You deserve to feel good about yourself. You deserve to have things that make you feel confident. Emma hesitated for a moment before slipping the jacket on. It fit perfectly, and for the first time in a while, she stood a little taller, a little more sure of herself. Thank you, Liam, she said quietly, her voice filled with gratitude. I don't know what I'd do without you, Liam smiled warmly. You don't have to worry about that, he said softly. I'm always going to be here for you. As Emma left for school that day, Liam watched her from the door, his heart swelling with pride. She was still carrying so much weight from her past, but he knew she was beginning to trust again, to believe in herself again. She was no longer the scared little girl he had found at the bus stop. She was becoming someone strong, someone capable of facing whatever challenges came her way. And Liam would be there, every step of the way, helping her build the future she deserved. The weeks passed, and Emma continued to settle into her new life. School was still difficult, but she was trying. Liam noticed small improvements each day. She was talking more in class, starting to make a few friends, and her confidence seemed to grow, little by little. One day, Liam picked her up from school as usual, but there was something different about her that day. She wasn't talking as much, and she seemed distracted. He watched her in the rearview mirror, wondering if something had happened. Hey, how was school today? Liam asked gently. Emma was silent for a moment, her gaze fixed out the window. Finally, she sighed. It was fine, she said, her voice lacking its usual energy. Liam's concern grew. You don't seem fine. What's going on? He asked, trying to keep his voice calm. Emma shifted uncomfortably in her seat. It's just, I don't know if I can do it, she said quietly. I don't know if I'm ever going to fit in. I try, but it's hard. The kids there, they don't really get me. I feel like I'm always behind. Liam's heart tightened. He knew this was coming. The weight of trying to fit in at a new school, after everything Emma had been through, was starting to wear on her. He wanted to say something to make it all better, but he knew it wasn't that simple. You don't have to fit in right away, Liam said, his voice soft but firm. I know it's hard, but the most important thing is that you're trying, you're learning, you're growing. That's what matters. Emma shook her head. I don't know if I can keep up. I feel like everyone's so much smarter, and I'm just lost. She looked at him then, her eyes filled with vulnerability. Liam reached over and gently placed his hand on hers. I know it feels hard, but that doesn't mean you can't do it. You're not alone in this. You have people who care about you, and we're going to figure it out together. Emma looked at him, her eyes softening just a little. For the first time in a while, she looked like she was considering his words. I just feel like I don't belong, she said quietly. Liam squeezed her hand. You belong here, he said with certainty. You belong with me, and you belong in this world. You may not see it right now, but you have everything it takes to succeed. I'm not going to let you give up on yourself. Emma turned her gaze back to the window, but Liam could see that she was processing his words. He didn't expect her to have all the answers, but he knew this conversation was important. It was a step forward, even if it was just a small one. Later that evening, Liam decided it was time to take a different approach. He knew Emma was struggling with her confidence, but he also knew she had potential. He just needed to help her see it. After dinner, he sat down with her at the kitchen table, where she was working on her homework. I've been thinking, Liam began, his tone thoughtful. I know school isn't easy right now, and I don't want to pressure you, but I was wondering if you might want to try something different. I could arrange for you to work with a tutor, someone who can help you catch up, at your own pace. Emma looked up from her homework, her expression wary. A tutor? She asked, as if the idea hadn't crossed her mind. Yeah, Liam said with a smile. Someone who can focus on the areas where you're struggling and help you get ahead. It's just another option, but I thought it might give you a little more support. Emma sat back in her chair, thinking about it for a moment. "I don't know," she said slowly. "I feel like everyone else is already so far ahead. What if it doesn't help?" Liam leaned forward, his voice filled with understanding. "I get it, but you don't have to do this alone. A tutor isn't going to judge you or make you feel bad. They'll just help you learn, step by step. And if it doesn't work, that's okay. You'll just try something else." Emma's shoulders relaxed slightly, and for the first time that evening, she seemed to be considering the idea. "I guess I could try," she said quietly. "I don't want to keep falling behind." Liam smiled. "That's all I'm asking for, Emma. You're not behind. You're just on your own path, and we'll take it one step at a time." He could see the shift in her eyes, the small spark of hope that she hadn't had in a while. It wasn't going to be an easy road, but Liam could see that she was starting to believe in herself, little by little. The next day, Liam made arrangements for a tutor to work with Emma after school. When the tutor arrived, Emma was hesitant at first, but she quickly warmed up to the idea. The sessions were calm and supportive, focused on helping Emma build her skills in a way that made sense to her. It wasn't about rushing through lessons or making her feel behind, it was about giving her the tools she needed to succeed at her own pace. After a few weeks, Emma started showing noticeable improvements. She was more engaged in class, her confidence grew, and although she still had moments of doubt, she was starting to see that with the right support, she could overcome the challenges in front of her. One afternoon, as they were sitting together in the living room, Emma looked at Liam, her expression thoughtful. "You know," she said quietly, "I think I'm starting to believe I can do this." Liam smiled warmly at her, feeling a sense of pride. "I knew you could." He wasn't just proud of how far Emma had come, he was proud of the person she was becoming, one step at a time. As the days went by, Emma started to feel more comfortable at school. The tutor sessions were helping, and her grades were improving. She had made a few friends, though she was still a bit shy around the other students. Liam could see the difference in her. Her smile was more genuine now, her steps more confident, and she was starting to embrace her new life. It was a quiet Saturday morning when Liam received a call from the school. He picked up the phone, expecting it to be a routine check-in. But the voice on the other end immediately caught his attention. "Mr. Parker, this is Mrs. Wilson from the school. I wanted to talk to you about Emma," she began. "Is everything okay?" Liam asked, his concern growing. "Yes, everything is fine, but we've noticed some changes in Emma recently. She's been doing much better in her classes, and she's more engaged in school activities. But more importantly, she's shown leadership potential. We think she's ready for something more, maybe even a role in a school project or event. We wanted to see if you would be open to her taking on more responsibility." Liam's heart swelled with pride. He had seen Emma's progress firsthand, but hearing someone else acknowledge her growth made it feel even more real. "Of course," Liam said. "She's worked really hard to get here. If she's ready for more, I'll support her in whatever she wants to do." Mrs. Wilson's voice was warm. "Great. I'll have her meet with the student council next week to discuss some upcoming projects. I think it will be a great opportunity for her." After the call ended, Liam sat for a moment, processing what he had just heard. Emma had made incredible strides, and now she was being recognized for it. He couldn't have been prouder. That afternoon, when Emma came home, Liam was eager to share the news with her. He found her in the living room, sitting on the couch with a book in her hands. "Hey, Emma," Liam said, sitting down beside her. She looked up, and he could see the usual mix of curiosity and hesitation in her eyes. "I got a call from school today. Mrs. Wilson wanted to let me know that you've been doing great. Your grades, your participation, everything. And they think you're ready for more responsibility." Emma's brow furrowed, confusion crossing her face. "More responsibility? Like what?" Liam smiled. "Well, they want you to meet with the student council about some projects they're working on. They think you have leadership potential and want you to help out with organizing events." Emma's eyes widened. "Me? In charge of something?" Her voice was filled with disbelief. "You're doing great, Emma," Liam said gently. "You've worked hard to get to this point. This is just the next step." Emma shook her head, still processing the idea. "I don't know if I can do something like that," she said softly. "What if I mess up?" Liam put a hand on her shoulder. "I've seen how far you've come, Emma. You're more capable than you think. And even if things don't go perfectly, that's okay. It's all about trying and learning from it. Emma remained quiet, but Liam could tell she was thinking about it. The idea of stepping into a leadership role was intimidating, but it was also a huge opportunity. She had already made so much progress, and this could be the moment where everything clicked for her. That night, as Emma prepared for bed, Liam walked into her room, his voice soft. "You know, I'm really proud of you," he said, leaning against the doorframe. Emma looked up at him, a small smile on her lips. "Thanks," she said quietly. "It's just all so overwhelming sometimes. I don't know if I'm ready for something like this." Liam nodded, understanding her fears. "It's normal to feel that way, but I believe in you. You've got the strength and the heart to handle it." Emma looked down at her hands, then back up at him. "I'll give it a try," she said. "I'll meet with the student council." Liam's heart swelled with pride. "That's all I'm asking for," he said. "I know you'll do great." The next week, Emma nervously walked into the meeting with the student council. She had no idea what to expect, and her stomach was in knots. But as soon as she entered the room, she was greeted by the warm smiles of her classmates. They were excited to have her there, and they immediately made her feel like part of the team. Mrs. Wilson introduced her to the council, and they began discussing the upcoming school events. Emma listened intently, her nerves slowly starting to fade. She offered a few ideas of her own, and to her surprise, the group was enthusiastic about her suggestions. By the end of the meeting, Emma felt a rush of accomplishment. She had done it. She had stepped up and taken on more responsibility, and it had gone better than she could have imagined. When she returned home, Liam was waiting for her. "How did it go?" he asked. His eyes filled with anticipation. Emma beamed. "It went great," she said, her voice full of excitement. "I can't believe it, but I actually spoke up and gave some ideas. They liked them. I think I'm really starting to fit in." Liam's face lit up with pride. "I knew you could do it. You're more capable than you give yourself credit for." Emma smiled, feeling a sense of pride she had never felt before. She had stepped outside her comfort zone, and in doing so, she had proven to herself that she was ready for whatever came next. Liam had always believed in her. But now, for the first time, she was starting to believe in herself too. As the weeks continued, Emma's life started to feel more settled, but it wasn't without its challenges. School was no longer just about surviving the day, it was about growth. But with each new day, new obstacles seemed to arise. She had gotten used to the rhythm of school, the tutoring sessions, and her new friends. However, there was one thing that still lingered in her mind: her past. The pain and struggles that she had faced before coming to live with Liam were still there, haunting her at times, even when she tried to push them away. It was an unusually warm Thursday afternoon when the call came. Emma was sitting at the kitchen table, sorting through a few school assignments, when Liam answered the phone in the living room. His voice, which had been calm as always, suddenly grew serious. Emma's curiosity piqued, and she stopped what she was doing, straining to hear. "Yes, this is Liam Parker," he said. "Is everything okay?" There was a long pause as he listened, his face growing more solemn. "I see. I understand," he continued. "Thank you for letting me know." Emma sat frozen, her heart suddenly racing. She had no idea what was happening, but the tone in Liam's voice told her that it wasn't good. After hanging up, Liam walked into the kitchen, looking at Emma with a mixture of concern and uncertainty. "Emma, I need to talk to you," he said, his voice soft. Emma's stomach tightened. "What's going on?" she asked, fear creeping into her voice. Liam hesitated before speaking, unsure how to say the words. "There's been a situation," he began, "and I think it's important that you know about it. Your aunt, your only living relative, has contacted me." Emma's eyes widened. She hadn't seen or heard from her aunt in years, and she had no idea why she would suddenly reach out now. "What did she say?" Emma asked, her voice trembling slightly. Liam took a deep breath, trying to find the right words. "She wants to have a meeting, Emma. She wants to talk about you." Emma felt a rush of emotions flood through her. She had tried to forget her aunt, the woman who had abandoned her when things had gotten tough, the woman who had never been there for her, the woman who had never even cared. "I don't want to see her," Emma said quickly, shaking her head. Liam knelt beside her, placing a gentle hand on her arm. "I know you're scared, but we need to take this one step at a time. You don't have to make any decisions right now, but I want you to know that I'll be with you every step of the way." Emma's eyes welled up with tears. She had been through so much already, and the idea of facing her past, facing her aunt, felt like too much. "I don't want her to hurt me again," Emma whispered, her voice breaking. Liam nodded, understanding. "You don't have to face her alone. I'm here, and I won't let her hurt you. But we can't ignore this forever. We have to at least hear her out." Emma took a deep breath, wiping away a tear that had slipped down her cheek. "Okay," she said quietly, her voice small but steady. "I'll meet her, but only with you there." Liam gave her a reassuring smile. "Of course. I'll be right by your side." The meeting was scheduled for the following week. Emma had no idea what to expect. She wasn't sure if she was even ready to confront her past, but she knew she couldn't hide from it forever. When the day finally arrived, Emma found herself standing in front of the large, sleek office building, her heart racing in her chest. Liam was by her side, offering a silent strength, but she could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on her. "Are you sure about this?" Liam asked softly, his hand gently resting on her shoulder. Emma nodded, taking a deep breath. "I don't know what to expect, but I have to do this." As they entered the building and made their way to the conference room, Emma felt a swirl of emotions: anger, confusion, fear, and even a small flickering hope. What if this meeting could change things? What if her aunt had truly changed? But deep down, she wasn't sure she was ready to forgive. The door to the conference room opened, and there, sitting at the table, was her aunt. Emma's heart dropped as she saw the familiar, yet distant face. Her aunt looked the same: stiff, composed, and businesslike. There was no warmth in her eyes. Emma stood frozen in the doorway, unsure if she should even take another step. "Emma," her aunt said coolly, standing up. "It's been a long time." Liam stepped forward, standing between Emma and her aunt. "This is a private conversation," Liam said firmly. "We're here to hear what you have to say. But if Emma feels uncomfortable at any point, we're leaving." Her aunt gave a slight nod, a businesslike expression on her face. "Understood." The conversation that followed was tense, filled with uncomfortable silences and careful words. Emma's aunt explained that she wanted to take responsibility for Emma's future, that she regretted not being there for her. But Emma couldn't shake the feeling that her aunt wasn't truly sorry, she was just trying to cover up the past. "Why now?" Emma finally asked, her voice steady but laced with anger. "Why come to me now, after everything, after abandoning me when I needed you the most?" Her aunt's expression hardened, and she seemed taken aback by the question. "I've had my reasons," she said, avoiding Emma's gaze. "But I've been thinking about you. I want to make things right." Emma didn't believe her. She wanted to leave, to walk away from this conversation forever. But she knew that if she did, she'd never get the answers she needed. The meeting ended in an awkward silence. As they walked out of the building, Emma felt a weight lift off her shoulders, but there was still a lingering sense of betrayal. She wasn't sure what the future would hold, but she knew that she couldn't let her past control her anymore. With Liam by her side, she was starting to see that she could create a future of her own, a future where she wasn't bound by the pain of her past. And for the first time, she felt like she was ready to move forward. The days following the tense meeting with Emma's aunt were quiet, but Emma's emotions were anything but. The conversation had left her feeling drained and conflicted. She didn't know what to think about her aunt's apology. It didn't feel real. And it certainly didn't erase the years of abandonment. But something within her had shifted. For the first time in a long time, she felt like she was standing on her own 2 feet, independent and strong. But she also felt like she needed some closure, some finality, before she could move forward completely. One evening, after a long day at school, Emma came home to find Liam sitting at the kitchen table, his face thoughtful. He looked up when she entered, offering her a warm smile. "How was your day?" he asked, his tone gentle. Emma set her backpack down and leaned against the doorway, still feeling the weight of the previous days. "It was okay," she said, her voice quieter than usual. "I've been thinking a lot about everything, especially the meeting with my aunt." Liam nodded, sensing that this was a conversation Emma needed to have. "Do you want to talk about it?" he asked, his voice encouraging but not pushing. Emma hesitated, her fingers tracing the edge of the kitchen counter. I don't know, she admitted. Part of me just wants to forget about her. But another part of me keeps wondering why she even bothered to come back. Liam gave her a reassuring look. You don't have to figure everything out right now, Emma. It's okay to feel confused. And it's okay to take your time to process all of this. Emma bit her lip, nodding slowly. I guess. I just don't want to keep feeling like this. Like I'm stuck in the past. Liam stood up and walked over to her, placing a hand on her shoulder. You're not stuck, Emma, he said gently. You've come so far already. But sometimes, you have to confront the past to fully move forward. Emma looked up at him, her eyes filled with uncertainty. What if I can't forgive her? What if I never get that closure? Liam smiled softly. Forgiveness doesn't always mean you forget what happened, but it does mean you stop letting it control your future. And you don't have to forgive anyone just because they ask. You need to do what feels right for you. Emma thought about his words for a long time. Finally, after a deep breath, she looked up at him. I think I need to talk to her again. I need to know why she left, why she never came back for me. I need to hear it from her, not just from what I've been told. Liam gave a small nod, his expression supportive. If that's what you need, I'll be with you. You're not alone in this. The next day, Emma made the decision to meet her aunt again. This time, she didn't feel as scared. She wasn't looking for forgiveness, and she wasn't looking for answers that would fix everything. She just needed to know the truth, to hear her aunt's side, and to finally close that chapter in her life. When she arrived at the meeting place, her aunt was already there, sitting at a table in a quiet cafe. She looked up when Emma walked in, a stiff smile on her face. Emma, her aunt said, her voice cool but not unkind. It's good to see you again. Emma took a seat across from her heart racing but her mind clear. I need to know why, Aunt Kate, she said quietly, her voice steady. Why did you leave me? Why didn't you come back for me? Her aunt looked down at her hands, her expression hard to read. I wasn't in a good place back then, Emma, she said slowly. I made mistakes, and I thought it was better if you were away from me. I thought you'd be better off. Emma felt a flicker of anger but held it in check. But you never came back. You didn't call. You didn't try to find me. I had to grow up alone. Her aunt's gaze softened, though her eyes still held an edge of guilt. I was scared, she said quietly. I didn't know how to be there for you. I thought if I left you alone, you would be safe, but I see now how wrong I was. Emma felt a rush of emotions: hurt, anger, but also something she didn't expect. Pity. Her aunt wasn't the person she had imagined. She wasn't the villain Emma had painted in her mind. She was just a woman who had made mistakes, a woman who didn't know how to be the family Emma needed. I needed you, Emma said softly, her voice breaking for the first time in the conversation. I needed you, and you weren't there. Her aunt's eyes filled with regret. I know, she whispered, and I'm so sorry. I wish I could go back and change things, but I can't. All I can do now is ask for your forgiveness, if you're willing to give it. Emma sat in silence, processing her aunt's words. She didn't know if she could forgive her right then and there. But she didn't have to. Forgiveness didn't mean they would be a family again. It just meant she could let go of the anger, the bitterness that had been holding her back. After a long pause, Emma spoke, her voice calm but firm. I don't know if I can forgive you yet, she said, but I'm not holding on to the past anymore. I'm moving forward, with or without you. Her aunt nodded, her expression a mix of relief and sadness. I understand. I just hope that one day you can find it in yourself to forgive me. Emma stood up, her chest feeling lighter than it had in years. Maybe one day, she said, her voice strong. But for now, I'm okay. I'm moving forward. As Emma walked out of the cafe, she felt like she had finally taken control of her own story. She wasn't the little girl who had been abandoned. She was someone stronger now, someone who was ready to build her own future. And with Liam by her side, she knew she could face whatever came next. After Emma's meeting with her aunt, things began to settle down, but the weight of that conversation lingered with her. The feelings of anger and betrayal, though still present, no longer held the same power over her. She had taken back control of her life. For the first time, Emma truly felt like she was standing on her own, not defined by the people who had abandoned her, but by the person she was becoming. She didn't know what the future would hold, but she was no longer afraid of it. Over the next few weeks, Emma focused on school and her involvement with the student council. The responsibilities she had taken on were helping her grow into someone confident and capable. Her friends at school noticed the changes, too. She smiled more, spoke up in class, and participated in discussions with a newfound confidence. But despite everything, Emma was still haunted by the idea of her aunt's apology. She hadn't spoken to Liam much about it after that day at the cafe. But she couldn't shake the thought that there was more to be said. One evening, after dinner, Emma found herself sitting on the porch, staring at the stars. The cool evening air made her feel alive. But her mind was still occupied with the question of whether or not she should confront her aunt again. Could she forgive her? Was there more she needed to say to fully move on? Liam joined her outside, quietly sitting beside her. He didn't speak right away, sensing that Emma needed a moment of silence. Eventually, she turned to him, her eyes thoughtful. "Liam," she began, her voice hesitant, "I've been thinking about my aunt, and I don't know. Part of me wants to just move on, but part of me still feels like there's something missing. Like I need closure, you know?" Liam nodded slowly, his gaze steady. "I understand," he said quietly. "But you're the only one who can decide if that closure comes from her, or from within yourself." Emma let out a deep breath. "I thought I could just forget about it, let it go and move forward. But I think I need to talk to her again to really hear what she has to say and maybe finally put the past to rest." Liam smiled warmly, offering her a reassuring look. "I think that's a good idea. And no matter what happens, remember that you don't have to carry that burden alone anymore. You've got me, and I'll be with you, every step of the way." Emma looked at him, her heart swelling with gratitude. He had been her rock through everything, and she was starting to realize just how much he had truly helped her rebuild her life. "Thank you," she said softly. "I'm not sure where this journey will take me, but I know I'm not doing it alone." The next day, Emma reached out to her aunt. She had made up her mind. She needed to speak to her one last time, not for her aunt's sake, but for her own. She needed to put the past in its rightful place so she could keep moving forward. The conversation was set for the following weekend. Emma's heart raced with anticipation as the day drew closer. When the time finally came, she met her aunt in a quiet cafe once again. But this time, Emma was different. She was no longer the scared, uncertain girl who had sat across from her aunt months ago. She was stronger now, confident in who she was and where she was headed. As Emma entered the cafe, she saw her aunt sitting at the same table, her expression unreadable. The woman looked older, worn, but still the same. She looked up as Emma approached, and a faint, almost hesitant smile crossed her face. "Emma," her aunt said softly, standing to greet her. Emma nodded, sitting down across from her aunt. There was no need for pleasantries. They both knew why they were here. "I've been thinking a lot," Emma began, her voice steady. "And I need to know. I need to hear from you why you left. Why you didn't come back for me. I need to understand." Her aunt's face softened with regret, and for the first time, Emma saw a crack in her otherwise composed exterior. "I was selfish," her aunt said quietly, her voice trembling slightly. "I thought I was doing the right thing, but I was wrong. I was scared and unsure of how to handle everything. I wasn't ready to be there for you the way you needed me, and I deeply regret that." Emma's heart ached at her aunt's words. It wasn't the answer she had hoped for, but it was honest. For the first time, her aunt seemed truly remorseful. "I didn't want to leave you," her aunt continued. "I just didn't know how to stay." Emma sat in silence for a moment, processing her aunt's confession. It wasn't perfect, and it wasn't easy, but it was enough. She could see the genuine regret in her aunt's eyes, and for the first time, she felt a shift within herself. She wasn't angry anymore. She wasn't bitter. She was ready to move on. "I don't know if I can ever forgive you completely," Emma said quietly, "but I'm not holding on to the anger anymore. I've learned that I have to let go of the past so I can have a future. A future where I'm not defined by what happened, but by who I am now." Her aunt nodded, tears welling in her eyes. "I understand, and I hope one day you'll find it in your heart to forgive me. But I'm proud of you, Emma. You're stronger than I ever was." Emma smiled, a small, sad smile, but it was genuine. "I'm moving forward, Aunt Kate, and I hope you can too. As Emma walked out of the cafe, she felt the weight of years of pain slowly lift from her shoulders. She had finally found peace, not because of her aunt's apology, but because she had taken control of her own story. With Liam's unwavering support, she was ready for whatever came next, knowing that her future was in her hands. The weeks after Emma's meeting with her aunt were filled with quiet moments of reflection. The weight she had been carrying for so long, the anger, the confusion, the sense of abandonment, had finally begun to lift. She no longer felt bound by the past, and although the memories still lingered, they no longer defined her. She had taken back control, and now she was moving forward, stronger than she had ever been. As the seasons changed, Emma continued to excel at school, gaining confidence with each passing day. Her friends supported her, and the student council welcomed her ideas with enthusiasm. She was starting to see a future where she could create her own path, no longer held back by the uncertainty that had once plagued her. One day, Liam surprised her with something unexpected. "Emma," he said, pulling her aside after dinner, "I've been thinking about something. I want to make sure you have every opportunity to succeed, to chase your dreams." Emma looked at him, her heart full of gratitude. "What do you mean?" she asked. Liam smiled, his eyes warm with encouragement. "I know you've been talking about your dream of opening an art studio. You've got such talent, Emma, and I want to help you get there. I've been looking into some art programs and scholarships. I think this could be the right time to start taking those first steps toward your dream." Emma's heart raced, a mix of excitement and disbelief filling her chest. "You're really doing this for me?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Liam nodded. "Of course. I believe in you, Emma. I always have, and I want to do whatever I can to help you succeed." Emma sat down, her emotions bubbling to the surface. She had never expected this kind of support, especially not from someone who had once been a stranger. "I don't even know where to begin," she said, her voice trembling with a mixture of excitement and uncertainty. Liam sat beside her, his presence steady and reassuring. "We'll figure it out together. We'll research the programs, the scholarships, everything. You don't have to do it alone. I'm here with you every step of the way." In the weeks that followed, Emma worked tirelessly to prepare for the application process. Liam helped her research different art programs, guided her as she crafted her portfolio, and even helped her refine her interview skills. It wasn't easy, but with Liam's support, Emma found the strength to push through her doubts and fears. She was determined to make this dream a reality. And then, one afternoon, the letter came. Liam was sitting in the living room when Emma ran in, her hands shaking as she held the envelope. "Liam, I got it. I got the scholarship," she cried, her voice filled with disbelief and joy. Liam jumped up, his face lighting up with pride. "That's amazing, Emma. I knew you could do it." Emma hugged him tightly, her heart overflowing with gratitude. "I couldn't have done it without you. You believed in me when I didn't believe in myself." Liam smiled down at her, his eyes filled with warmth. "You've always had the strength inside you, Emma. You just needed to see it for yourself." The next few months were a whirlwind of preparations. Emma attended her first art classes, working hard to refine her skills and learn new techniques. She felt a sense of purpose, something she hadn't experienced in years. Her future was no longer uncertain. It was unfolding before her, and it was filled with possibilities. As the summer approached, Liam suggested they take a short trip to celebrate Emma's accomplishments. "You've worked so hard," Liam said. "You deserve a break. How about we take a weekend getaway, somewhere peaceful where you can relax and recharge?" Emma smiled, the idea sounding perfect. "That sounds amazing," she said, her heart light with happiness. They decided to head to a small cabin by a lake, a place far away from the hustle and bustle of the city. It was quiet and serene, the perfect escape for both of them. During their time there, Emma found herself reflecting on everything she had been through, how far she had come, the challenges she had faced, and the people who had helped her along the way. She realized that she had finally found peace with her past, and with it, the freedom to look forward to the future. One evening, as they sat on the porch watching the sunset, Emma turned to Liam, her heart full of gratitude. "I don't think I can ever thank you enough," she said softly. Liam smiled at her, his expression warm and understanding. "You don't have to, Emma," he said. "Seeing you grow, seeing you chase your dreams, that's all the thanks I need." Emma smiled, feeling a deep sense of contentment. For the first time in a long time, she felt like she was exactly where she was meant to be. She had found her place in the world, and with Liam's support, she knew she could accomplish anything. As they watched the stars begin to appear in the sky, Emma felt a deep sense of hope. The future was bright, and it was hers to shape. She was no longer the scared little girl she had once been. She was a young woman, strong, confident, and ready to take on whatever came next. And for the first time in a long while, Emma was truly at peace. As the days passed, Emma continued to thrive in ways she never thought possible. The art scholarship had opened up a whole new world for her, one filled with opportunities she had once only dreamed of. Every day at school felt like a small victory, and each new art piece she created felt like a personal triumph. Her portfolio grew stronger, her confidence deeper, and her relationships with her friends and classmates flourished. But it wasn't just school that was going well. Emma had grown closer to Liam, the man who had become her unwavering support through everything. He had been there when she had needed someone to believe in her, when the weight of the past had threatened to crush her spirit. He had helped her rebuild, not just by giving her a roof over her head, but by showing her what it meant to truly live a life free from fear. One evening, as they sat together in the living room after dinner, Emma looked at Liam with a quiet gratitude. "You know," she said softly, "I can't believe how much my life has changed. Just a few months ago, I didn't even know who I was. Now, I feel like I have a future. I feel like I'm becoming the person I always wanted to be." Liam smiled warmly, his eyes filled with pride. "You've always had that strength in you, Emma," he said gently. "You just had to find it. And you did. I'm so proud of everything you've accomplished." Emma smiled, a soft laugh escaping her. "I couldn't have done it without you," she said. "You were the one who helped me see that I could be more, that I deserved more." Liam shook his head, a modest smile on his face. "I didn't do it alone, Emma. You did all the hard work. You made the decision to take control of your life. I'm just glad I could be there to support you." For the first time in a long time, Emma felt a deep sense of peace. She had come so far, and though the road had been difficult, it had shaped her into someone stronger, more confident, and more aware of her own worth. The future no longer seemed like a distant dream. It was something tangible, something she could reach out and grab. That night, as they sat on the porch together, watching the sunset and listening to the sounds of the evening, Emma realized just how much she had grown. The anger and sadness that had once consumed her had been replaced with a quiet strength. The fears of her past no longer held her back. She had faced the ghosts of her past, the pain, the loneliness, and the abandonment, and had come out the other side. She was no longer defined by what had happened to her. She was defined by the choices she made, the courage she had shown, and the future she was now building. "Liam," she said quietly, her voice full of conviction. "I'm ready. I'm ready for whatever comes next." Liam turned to her, his eyes filled with understanding. "I know you are, Emma, and whatever comes next, we'll face it together." Emma smiled, feeling a sense of peace settle over her. She knew there would still be challenges ahead, but she was no longer afraid. She had the strength to face whatever came her way, and with Liam by her side, she knew she could do anything. The future was no longer a place of uncertainty. It was a place full of possibilities, and Emma was ready to step into it with her head held high, knowing that the road ahead was hers to shape. She had finally found her place in the world, and for the first time in a long time, she felt truly at home. This touching story of transformation is a powerful example of how someone can rise above their past and build a brighter future, just like many millionaire stories. Emma, once abandoned and lost, finds new hope when a kind millionaire CEO takes her in and helps her rebuild her life. From struggles at school to confronting her painful past, Emma faces many challenges that make this a compelling addition to any collection of millionaire stories. Through her journey, she finds strength, confidence, and support from those around her, especially Liam, who becomes the anchor she desperately needs. This is not just one of those typical millionaire stories, but one that shows how compassion and belief in others can create lasting change. As Emma begins to take control of her life and pursue her dreams, the lessons in this millionaire story are clear hope, perseverance, and self-discovery lead to success. Emma's path from hardship to success mirrors the lessons found in countless millionaire stories, proving that even those who have faced the greatest obstacles can create a life filled with possibilities. This is a story of resilience, empowerment, and transformation that fits perfectly with the inspiring tone of Millionaire stories, leaving a lasting impact on anyone who hears it.